Oh, good evening. That was pretty fast. Oh my God, that's pretty fast. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start really quickly. Um, if this is your first live, I see at least one person in here who's been in my lives before. If it's the first time watching my lives, um, I'm just gonna go, I just kind of continue off from old videos, just kind of talking about my experience with being gang stalked in Toronto. If you want to catch up, my YouTube is pinned as a pinned comment in here. Oh, wait, did I pin the comment? One second. No, I didn't. I've just pinned my YouTube here so you can go ahead and check out my YouTube and get caught up on the things that I'm talking about. I tried to bring people up to speed very quickly in like where I'm starting off with things. So to give you guys a quick synopsis of the situation. Essentially, I was dating someone who had ties with Brazil in some way. Um, in my heart and in my mind, I assume that it is to do with drugs and cartel because that's what I have been recruited for since. It's been forcible. A bunch of people in Toronto have been a part of it. Actually, I've never seen a crime with so many witnesses in my life. There's been so many people that have been a part of this that it's crazy. Like people that I know, people I don't know. In the beginning when everybody was doing everything, it was an isolated group of people. It was all Latinos. The nature of this thing, I believe, is that they kind of use everybody in their group just once to take away culpability, to take away, I don't even know if culpability is the right word, but to take away you being able to go and say, this one person follows me everywhere. So they try to take that away by only having one person do one thing. The problem is it took so long that they would now have multiple people come more than once. It started getting very risky. It started being very obvious. They didn't really care if I knew or not because it was kind of like they needed to wrap this up very quickly, get me out of the way. Because, there's obviously demand. Somebody's paying for this and this needs to go through. I think there's been a bunch of things that have been happening that people have been seeing that I think people think those things are kind of weird. So it's weird and it's not easily explained and they're not sure what's going on. But it's like, I think with me talking out and me putting these videos out, I think a lot of things are starting to make a little more sense to people. And one thing for me, and I've always been like that, is if somebody comes around me and they just keep talking about one particular person, I know it's because they want me to also hate the person too, even though the person's done anything to me. But there's some people who just deal with this behavior just like they just agree with whatever. Like somebody comes around and somebody says, oh, this person is this and that. And then they decide like they hate that person too, So it's been a lot of that. It's been a lot of rumors. It's been a lot of slander. It's been a lot of stuff about like my clothing, the size of my clothing. Like it's always been things that don't stick. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect person at all. I have my flaws, but I'm just a fairly decent person. Um, I don't feel like people should have issues with me. I've spent a lot of my time kind of like trying to step over having issues with people. I don't like it. I don't even like hearing people have issues with other people, to be honest with you. I just don't like engaging in gossip. I feel like it's ridiculous. Because when I have an issue, I address somebody straight up. I just literally contact the person I say, or I don't even let it get that far. I just contact and I say, this is the issue. But tonight, I want to talk about accepting bribes because that is a huge part of how this works. This is how people can have a small group, and I don't know how small the group is, but they can have a small group and they can make it seem like their group is bigger and they work off of the illusion of being big. They're not actually big, but they're just working off the illusion of being big. they're not actually dangerous, as far as like, they are dangerous, don't get me wrong, let me take that back, they are dangerous, but I'm talking about violent. In the beginning, you definitely, when you're being gang stalked, you definitely feel like somebody's gonna kick down your door, or that it's gonna get violent. And it doesn't actually get violent. They just keep you in control by you wondering, because you see people following you all over the place, and it's not enough that they hang, like if you're in somewhere, it's not enough that they hang around and they act weird, or they make you feel like they're following you, or they're watching you. They want to like take pictures or videos or be on video call, or not even do anything, just hold up their camera phone as if they're doing something. And it's like, it's taken me all this time to get to the point where actually, I want to say like between like 3-4 months in, I really didn't care anymore. I have to go to work. I have things to do. It wasn't going to be an issue. But bribes are taken by the people you work with. So for example, my mortgage agents, my real estate agents who impeded the sale of one of my properties. Um, People at the bank. I was supposed to get a bank loan at one point, and then the people stopped taking my call and stopped working with me. I went in the bank and she walked right past me, did not say hi, didn't say anything to me, and I was gonna say, hey, excuse me, like we were supposed to do work together, and I just left it alone. I think a lot of the times when people do not want to take the bribes, they just bully people. They bully people into it. So a lot of the times people look scared, they look nervous. Um, there's more I could say about that, but I want to talk about two specific things. And I think I'll start with the second thing first. So I got these cards and I really like them. But anyways, look at this card. Like, I really want you to look at this card. Do you see the guy behind the desk with the laptop? And then the woman offering money? That is exactly how it works. This right here, they bribe people. They will use different ways to get to people. They might offer you money. If they figure that's not going to work, they're going to bring somebody in to date you, to sleep with you, married or not, doesn't matter. Because this happened with my ex when we were together. Then girls started coming around out of nowhere, to seduce him and to do all of this stuff. So this is how they get their way. They use sexual favors for people. They get people to come in and date. Let me give you guys a story. My leasing agent at one of the malls had been with her spouse or her significant other for very long time. Very long time. All of a sudden, they weren't married, but they were living together. And she told me this story when, after the paperwork had already been signed for them to terminate my lease. She told me this story and she said, listen, something is so weird. She said, I've been with him the whole time. We never had any issues, any arguments. Everything was just normal. And all of a sudden he got with this girl, this young girl. They're married now. And he's moved off. His family doesn't know what's going on. No one can understand what happened. That is exactly how it goes with these people. And that is exactly what they hoped to happen with myself and my ex. But it didn't happen that way. It didn't happen that way. I could give y'all a little tea about that situation. Actually, just between us. Actually, let me not. But the women who do these kind of things obviously are women who are very loose, women of not the greatest reputation. So you don't really have to worry about people like that. People like that don't have a very good control of themselves anyway. So it's like people like that have kids that don't even belong to the guy and like all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, it gets very messy when people use their bodies and when people do these kind of things for stuff. So it's like, and this is the thing. This is the thing I think that really creates an issue, is that everybody that I work with, I have some sort of really good rapport with them, really good relationship with them beyond just like hi and bye. There is some sort of affection there in some way, or some sort of like mutual respect or something more. Even with my customers, that is just how it works with me. So a lot of the times they were finding it difficult to disturb those relationships. Even in a serious relationship or a committed relationship with me, I think they were having an issue with, my ex's loyalty to me. That was presenting an issue. So a lot of people have a lot of flighty relationships. I tend not to care about the number of relationships I have, and it's really about the quality of the relationship. That's why love bombing doesn't work on me, because love bombing is very fake. It's inauthentic. So it's not something that usually works with me. Not usually, it just doesn't work. I have to tolerate it. I tolerate it. Especially if, like, business owners in general, you already know how it goes. People are going to come in and love bomb you first because they want a discount or this or that or the third. It's like something you deal with all the time. Like, when I tell you guys get PUK codes on your phone so that your calls can be private, just recently they intercept the calls, and as soon as the love bomber got on the phone, I knew she was a love, like, I just knew what it was. Excuse me, I didn't bother even calling back, doing anything. I was like, I'll handle this another time. So when people take these bribes, they don't anticipate that after they take the bribe, they end up like this. Do you see this marionette energy? It's literally the same character on each card. Okay? You take the bribe, you end up like this. Very simple. Very simple. There's this show. I can't remember the name of the show. It's been bothering me all day. It's on Netflix. The family, I think they're called the Navarros. What? I don't know if anybody knows what show I'm talking about. It's a show on Netflix, and it's like this family and the Ozark is the perfect example. Let me tell you, synchronicity is crazy, because I used to be addicted to that show, The Ozarks, before all of this happened. And I used to like watch it where it was like, it was scary to me, but at the same time, it's like I was hooked to the show. I just had to watch it. I got all the way to the point where, because at first I was like, oh my God, they're like destroying this family's life. The kids have to come out of the school, etc., etc. But then we got all the way to the episode where the cartel invited the family to some private island, as with, like, they treated them to luxury or whatever, and that's where they made the deal with them that they would basically help them do their accounting. And they kept, and multiple different people, guys, this is important, multiple different people came to the accountant, and one time the accountant looked at the books and he said, no, I don't want this. And then they kept coming back and coming back and coming back, and they're like, oh, because you're the one that said, there were so many people that said, oh, we could do this or that, but because you're the one that didn't want it, you have a very sharp eye, we want you to work. So essentially what they did was, when they seen that they basically were like he didn't want to do anything, they kept coming around, and then they bribed him. They invited him somewhere. He went, and they agreed. The thing about that situation is that's exactly how it happens. That's exactly how it happened to me. That's exactly how it happens to everybody. Is essentially they approach you first, and they see if you're going to take the bait. If you don't, they make an offer. They try to make offers that you can't refuse. They try to offer you a lot of crap. Okay? Most people, if they don't fall at the first one, they fall at the second one. I did not fall at any of these offers. I didn't fall at, oh, you can be a part of our network, and, we're going to come and we support each other and we buy each other's goods and this and that. It didn't work. It didn't work with me. So then you get to the part where it's like they've lost patience with you, and this is where the gang stalking, the threatening, and the nonsense happens. And so this was where I found myself last year. I wouldn't join voluntarily. And so there's this thing that they give you where you have the illusion of freedom, the illusion of freedom of choice, They're asking you nicely, but they expect you to say yes. And this is how it goes the whole time you're there. And I don't know if there comes a time where people just kind of know, like, they know how these people are. You know, if you're with them long enough, you know how they are. You know how to get around them for the most part. But it's like, I don't think they really like get to the point for a lot of people that they have to gang stalk them, where people, they know exactly what they're in. A lot of people, it takes a while for them to get here, for them to see this. It takes a while. I saw it. Like very plain. So I'll tell you, for example, when I'll tell you, there's so many stories. They all go the same. So I'll be talking to, at this point, I'm going to talk about my accountant. I was talking to my accountant. I was telling him, like, listen, something's going on. Something's very strange. This is what I think is happening. I'm sorry. I'm just going to move closer because my battery, I need to plug in my thing to my charger. And I'm telling him something strange is going on. So I'm telling him the story and he thinks it's hilarious. He still thinks it's funny. And by this time, they know that I tell people this stuff. So they plant people in people's ear and they say, oh, this girl, I don't know, she's kind of crazy. What is she talking about? Blah, 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 right? So these people who I've known my entire freaking life, my accountant who I've worked with for so many years. And again, these are people that I care about, people that I like. My accountant burst out laughing. So many people that I told, they burst out laughing. Okay. Fast forward a couple of weeks, then they don't want me to come to their office anymore. They don't want to work with me anymore. They're terrified. They can't focus. Their hands are shaking. They're fumbling the papers on their desk. Okay? This is not one person. This is multiple people. Weird things are happening to them. I gotta go meet somebody to get something done. Their tires are popped on their car the day that I have to do something to them or do something with them. Sorry. Handle whatever business that I have to handle. All of a sudden, it's not funny anymore. All of a sudden, it's like now I'm getting questions like, hey, remember that situation you were telling me about? How did it start? How did it go? What did you see? They don't want to do business anymore. They don't want you to call them anymore. They don't want to move forward with the file. They don't want to do the work. You have to call them multiple times just to get the work done. Now, after a while that I see this pattern going on, I leave it alone. If I know that you have work to do for me and you know the story, and the first time I told you, you laughed and you thought it was funny. Do you know who the last person who thinks it's funny right now? An old ex, like an old ex that I had. This is my friend, completely platonic, no attraction left, nothing, none of the above. Just an old ex who's a family friend at this point, okay? Thought it was funny, thought it was amusing. And I was warning him multiple times. I'm like, listen, the girl you're dating, this girl is not, some of this boy is not right. Didn't want to hear. All of a sudden, I can't remember how long ago it was, he can't call me anymore. And that's how it works. They can't have the same relationship with you that they used to have, where they would call you, they initiate, let's go hang out. This, none of that anymore. All of a sudden, he reaches out to me, or sorry, I reach out to him, and before we can even start the conversation, he's like, I had to ask you something. Do you want to go to Europe with me? How? Who's paying for it? I don't mind paying for it. The desperation. Now, the thing is, the person running this, I don't know if it's that they're normally not that intelligent, or if it's just the pressure of being desperate. But I kid you not, I call him Long Shot John. Every single plan is a long shot. What's the likelihood that after a year and a half of being gang stalked, I'm going to agree to go to Europe with somebody that I don't even talk to that often? With somebody that you know, this is the thing. If they only knew the history, when we were together and we used to travel, it was few and far between, and it wasn't even, and it's just like, and just even, it's even bogus. And that's why he was so nervous to get it out of his throat, because it's like, for a man to offer to take you to Europe, that you don't ask for anything, he doesn't offer you anything, like no one takes care of me financially. So it's so random to hear, let me take you to Europe. To do what? The fuck we gonna do in Europe? Look at each other eyeball to eyeball in a room? To do what? It's such a long shot. And especially knowing, and this is the kind of things that they do, they entrap you in things. Everybody's always offering you to go on some type of trip. So see, they can't offer Cali, Colombia anymore. They can't offer Mexico City. They didn't even say, hey, let's go to Cabo, and then while we're in Cabo, then we'll take a drive to Mexico City. They didn't even say that. Just straight Mexico City. What am I gonna do in Mexico City? Where is the beach? Where is my Spanish? What am I gonna do over there? That's like going to Afghanistan. So it's like, now they have to bring in Europe. Listen, and not for nothing, I see a lot of things. I get nervous for a lot of things. It's kind of like when somebody wants you to join a new gang, and what they do is they get you to break the law with them first, get it on some video, get some evidence on you, and now you are a part of the gang. That's all they want. Let's go to blah, blah, blah. You could have some drugs in your suitcase since you didn't voluntarily want to agree. Let's go to Europe in the new year to do fucking what in Europe? What are we doing in Europe? What are we doing in Europe? The desperation is so crazy. I don't know what his fate is and how he's gonna go and how he's gonna get out of this world. But the way I see John Ferrer is 100 ways to die. And it's just like every day the universe just spins a wheel and sees where it lands. And that's the new focus for the day. Whether it's paying those people back their money, and he knows what happens to people who slander me and people who follow me. That's why people are not following me anymore, because of what they're going through. He knows what happens to people who keep shaking hands with him and agreeing to this, but he doesn't care. He's only focused on what would happen to him and how things would work out for him. That is his only focus at this time. Everybody else is avoiding me. Everybody, it's like, I don't know what it is. Nobody wants to even DM, say anything, because it's gone from pretending to people. You know, I saw the free fall. It went from proving I'm a bad person with slander, and then that didn't work because I have good relationships with virtually everybody. If I do not have a good relationship with someone, I don't have any relationship with them at all, and they've taken issue with me in their imagination, because I don't do people wrong. So they've made an imaginary story in their head, just like him, made an imaginary story of who they think I am, and they've just ran with it. But actual interactions, people come and they cause drama. But for people to say, oh, she did this to me or this happened, no, I don't even want people around me outside of the interactions that are absolutely necessary. And that's another thing people do not understand. I don't even want, and this is predating any of this stuff. This is predating gang stalking. I'm just a person who, I'm not conducive to the whole system. The system is, it's like I'm immune to it naturally. It doesn't work for me. I don't like being around people. I don't need to be in social groups. I don't need advice. I don't need help. The whole thing, it doesn't work. It's not meant to work with me. And it's something that nobody wants to understand because they've already spent a ton of money on this. But back to as I was saying. So this is the thing. People take the bribe. In the beginning, they were taking bribes. By the end, they were just forced. They were being bullied. They were being bullied because he'd lost patience with all of this. Too many obstacles were in his way of getting this thing done. So they take the bribes, and now all of a sudden they're apart. of what's going on. And I'm going to tell you guys, based on observation, what I think is going on. I definitely feel like it's a cult. And I'm going to read the definition of what a cult is. A cult is a relatively small group. Sorry, my eyes are watering. A cult is a relatively small group which is typically led by a charismatic and self-appointed leader who tightly controls the members, requiring unwavering devotion to a set of beliefs and practices which are considered deviant. It fits perfectly. Essentially, they commit crimes together. Whether or not all the members want to or not, that's just what they're trapped in. They are criminals and they are thieves. They are the kinds of people I see, as not regular criminals. I think regular criminals, they hack people. They rob banks, they do stuff like that. I see these people as the type of people who'd set babies on fire. All of them. All of them. From the real estate agents, the children they have that they groom to do this type of crazy stuff. I see all of them. They're different criminals. They would kick an old lady across the street. They do very lowbrow stuff, which is crazy. It's ran by a narcissist. It's ran by someone who is so self-absorbed and so ill fitted to that position, to being in any sort of leadership position. It's worse than a tyrant. It's worse than it's like a child. It's like putting an undisciplined child to run a group. They will run it into the ground. This is like a RICO case waiting to happen. They operate out in the public. They feel invincible. They feel like nothing can touch them. They're shaking hands with police officers, judges, politicians, people in positions of power where they can make cases go away. But you need money to make cases go away. There is no money. Money's gone. So there's that. You know, he used to stab my tires all the time. And these were $1,000 tires. So every time a tire went, it was $1,000 each and every single time. And he would do this on both cars. One of the cars, it's like I just patched the tires. The other one, it's like I have to replace it because they're run flats. And the thing about tires and a vehicle is symbolic of movement. In tarot, a vehicle is represented by the chariot. It's movement. And so the chariot itself is not just representative of a vehicle. So you see, when a person stabs your tires, they don't want you to move because they don't want you to work. They don't want you to grow and they don't want you to earn. So the movement itself is very important because you want movement in business. You want movement in your love life. You want movement in all areas of your life. So you need a chariot. If somebody sends your energy back or your energy can't touch them or it circles back to you, the energy of the chariot in reverse means that you cannot move. So now, as a group, there is no movement in business. There's no movement in anything. Things are not growing. Things are actually dying. I explained this with cancer in the past. Cancer is an overproduction of cells and the cells don't die. It's like things need to be cyclical. They need to flow. They need to keep moving. But what's happened right now is there's stagnation and things are not moving. So, because things are not moving, businesses are dying. People can't pay for things. Nothing can grow. So, the most significant part of it is there's no movement away from this drama. People have to sit in the mess that they created. January is the beginning of the mess because last year I was in it. So this year people have to sit in the mess that they made. They have to sit in the mess that they made. There is no movement, forward movement from this. There's no new contracts. This is going to be the nightmare that doesn't end. And this is how it works when people do these kind of things and they don't think twice. People don't think to themselves like, geez, like things were good before we were messing with this person. We had money. Business was moving. Things were on the up and up. They know that. He knows that. But this is not a leader. This is not a leader. Think about a parent. A parent wants their kids to be even better than them. A parent doesn't put their kid in a situation where the kid will have fallout or negative growth or bad things will happen to them just to, it's like winning at all costs is not a sign of a good leader. That is an ego. There was time in the beginning that he could have dropped this and let it go and walked away, and everybody could have moved on and went and gotten business elsewhere and did more. But as fate would have it, it's not supposed to move and it's not supposed to grow. It's supposed to die, and it is dying. I can tell you people are going through the exact same things that they put me through. The slander that they put me through that stopped business from coming my way is exactly what they're going through. I sat and watched businesses go through that stuff where they came and it was gossiping about them so bad that they wouldn't even come out of their business. They would just be hiding in the back. They park in some secluded area so they could come in. They don't want anybody to talk to them. There's no customers coming in. Day after day, night after night, they're opening up and nobody's coming in. There's more staff than there is customers. It's not just one place. It's not just one business. It is multiple. It's the whole group together, the whole organization, everybody holding hands together. It's the whole group. I say all that to say, and I'm going to keep it at 30. I'm actually going to get to keep this live at 30 minutes tonight. Just accepting bribes, even if it is something that you're not personally in agreement, personally a part of. Just the fact that you've accepted bribes in this situation is indicative of your character. This is a situation that will end in a biblical way. Like people will literally, it'll look like Revelations, to be honest with you. I personally feel like Revelations is now, like we're in that time right now. I really, really do. Everything I've read Revelation, front to back, and everything that I see is very consistent with exactly what it talks about in the Bible. Everything. And I think there's going to be a lot of fallout with corporations. We're going to find out what a lot of people have been doing behind the scenes. A lot of people are monsters behind the scenes, to be honest with you. It's just that you don't get to see it. You don't get to hear it. From what I've seen and what I've been through in the past year, nothing is shocking to me. Nothing is shocking to me. The size of the businesses that I saw kind of a part of this or in relation to these people or shaking hands with these people is crazy. It's crazy. So I can see why people would have thought that they were invincible. There was infinite money. I know somebody who knows somebody. I can see why they thought that. I can see it. But it stops with me. And I don't think it's my job to convince anybody of that. It's not my job to convince anybody that anything stops with me or that I'm the big bad wolf that's going to tear anybody down or anything. I know what I know. And people know what I know too. People know what I know. People know what they're living. You see, this is the thing. It's like, I know one person in particular that has made a ton of money in the last year and is not very sure if they're going to live long enough to see the end of this year or even the middle of it. Constantly flying all over the place, eating up the same money again to go seek medical treatments and specialists and this and that every minute in the ER with 3 to 4 young children, and a wife that doesn't work, that has never worked, that's never had to work. These are the kind of things that make you really start thinking about like what it is that you participated in and what was the point of it. The very same things that people were wishing upon me behind other people's backs. They have their little group and the group doesn't know what's going on, but they just know they're getting money and they don't really know behind the scenes like what it takes to make that money. But because the money is entering their pocket as well, this is the thing about bribes, accepting the money. Once the money enters your pocket, you are a part of it. You're a part of it spiritually. You are spiritually binded into it. I'm going to make a whole video on spiritual binding because a lot of people have no idea what they're a part of and they don't understand like how serious this is and how impossible it is to get out of these contracts. These are spiritual contracts that you have to die out of. I'm going to say that again. There's a reason why they discourage people or they don't let people get physically married. Like a man and a woman will live in a house together, but they don't get physically married. These are contracts you have to die out of. And these are not contracts that human beings should be making in the first place. Like God should be choosing your contracts for you. You're not equipped to make that, to put yourself in that type of a contract. You have to die out of that. So nothing in your life works. You can't join anything else. You can't leave. And people don't understand that. This is why it's a cult, because there's a spiritual leader. And everything he does is about money. It doesn't matter that little crooked smile that he gives everybody. This is a monster. What did this person have to say to you to make you agree to gang stalk innocent people? These are not criminals. These are not like men. These are not soldiers. These are not people that are hard. These are older ladies. These are single moms. These are young girls. These are people that cry for every little thing, people that break down easily. So you're a criminal and you're a crook and you're a thief. In what way and in what world do you think that people like that are going to get off? It's always so easy for people to think that like you could just do anything and get away with it. And that is absolutely not the case. And you can bargain your way, you can plead your way, you can try to pay your way, you could try to be nice for a bit. Whatever you want to do, you have to die out of the contract. So essentially right now what's happening is, I'll tell you, very early on in the situation, when I just met John Ferreira, he said to me, I said something about my ex, he said, but the only way he can leave is with nothing. And then he stopped himself midway of saying that. And that's how it always was with him. He just always talked a bit too much. So I was just always collecting a lot of information, which I thank him. All of that information is saving me today. All of that information is making my life easier today and has made it possible for me to completely take myself out of this and just to understand how serious it is. So those kind of serious contracts, those kind of contracts where the only way you can leave is with nothing, it causes a death to the life that you're living. A spiritual death. A spiritual death and a physical death, I'd almost want to say the physical death is easier. A spiritual death is very difficult. Very difficult. That's what everybody's experiencing, is spiritual death currently. The contract is being shredded, which means everybody has to lose everything that they have in order to get out of the contract. That is the binding. Those are the rules. You have an issue. The issue, I'm actually not your enemy. The issue is him. He's the one that set it up like that. Or I shouldn't say that. It's a concept that's always existed in spirituality. It's not like he made it up. But this is the way that they've binded people. And this is the way a lot of people bind people. They use this kind of binding for a lot of different reasons. But this is what it is. This is why on exit, you have to accept that you're going to lose your home, your vehicles, your possessions, whatever you have. You're going to lose all of this stuff on your way out. And this is not like somebody's not keeping a tally. It's like, okay, well, I lost enough. I don't want to lose this. It's like, no, you're just, it must go. It must go. So it's painful. And it's a process that takes a while. It's not instant, it takes a while. And then when you're back to zero, then you got to think of how you're going to start again. It sounds frightening, but it's a fact. It's a fact. It's how it goes. When you guys have discarded people, that's exactly what you've done. You've stripped them of everything that they worked for in the time that they were there. So essentially, they wasted their time. If they were there 20 years, then they have nothing to show after that 20 years, which is one of the ways that they use to keep people binded in and locked in. So I often say to people, this is such a dangerous situation to be in. Like, you need to leave. You need an exit plan. You need to go. You need to not worry about relinquishing, money that you're going to lose or things that you're going to lose. I say this all the time. And it's like, I'm not sugarcoating it. When I ended up in this situation, I went through this. It's like God didn't reveal to me the exact details of every little thing. God didn't say, this is how long it's going to take. This is what you're going to go through. It was like, I just had to trust and have faith. I'm telling people up front what they have to go through. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. Do you have a choice? No. It's going to happen one way or the other. You're going to lose everything one way or the other. And people are going to confess what they did one way or the other. The confession is going to be the way out. Because the rock and the hard place are already there. They are already in place. Spiritually, it is already there. As above, so below. So all of this is already done. As above. It's just a matter of watching people face fallout. It is what it is. I'm going to end. I thought I'd do my 30 minutes. I'm going to end, but one of these cards I found, actually, I was shuffling it, and this is what came out that I would read on live. So it says, if you find yourself stuck in a situation you are unhappy with, ask yourself why you're still there. Is it fear of the unknown? Leaving toxic situations or people can be the best thing you could do for your soul and your spirit. Be fierce. I've told a story in past of multiple people that belong to this gang that have come to me and kind of like secretly asked for advice, or secretly asked me like, what did you do, or how do you do this, or whatever the case is. A lot of people for a long time have just like, they know it's not right. They know that the things that they're doing is attracting karma, and maybe some people had a last ditch moment where it's like, whether it was their ancestors or whether it was some spirit guides around them, or God, or whoever people ascribe to, or their intuition, whatever they want to call it, was saying, this might not be the place you want to stay. You might want to get out of this situation because this is not going to play out very well. And I think people still stayed in the situation despite their better judgment. It went way too far with me. Whatever type of gang stalking you guys normally do, people went way too far with me. Like, they really, really took it to an extreme. And that's why the fallout from it is going to be to an extreme as well. I've said before, do right by the people that you guys have done wrong and just admit what you've done. And there will be opportunities to confess, and there will be opportunities to lessen the burdens that are on you. I don't know if I think everybody in the cult itself, they may understand the spiritual aspect to this a lot more, but I think the people that are kind of like on the outer edges probably don't. They probably think that this is something that is, people hide a lot. They hide a lot. They lie. So it's like they're probably thinking, well, nobody else is talking about this, so it doesn't exist. Well, why am I walking free? If I'm the liar, and if I'm the one who's just saying anything, why am I walking free? Why have I not lost everything? Why? Anyway, check out the YouTube. The videos are there. And I always say, when you break out of these things, you need to find God. You don't want to just be a lost soul wandering out there. It's very painful to lose everything. When people lose everything, they end up homeless. They end up sick. They end up in all these situations. I really do believe those are the situations that people are going to find themselves in. I don't think people are prepared for the homelessness. But homelessness will happen. I don't think people are prepared for it, but it will happen. So, for anybody who I see that they constantly take people out of the lives, which is so malicious, that they don't want people to see or to know what's actually going on. The treachery for people to start preparing themselves for what's coming. They could care less. This has never been about people. It's only been about money. And it's only been using all the little people at the top so the people at the, oh, sorry, all the little people at the bottom so the people at the top can have a good life. It's treacherous. And nobody in there, nobody in this cult is a multimillionaire. Where does the money go? The money keeps falling through the cracks. This is also a spiritual thing. When money's not made well, it cannot be used to build in the same way. The money just doesn't stay in their pocket. It's all this frivolous garbage that they're constantly doing because they always think tomorrow's a new day, we'll make more, we'll make more, we'll make more. Where's the more now? People are living lives of crimes. They're making all this money and the money's all gone in a year. Just one single year of not continually doing all the scary stuff and all the money's gone. What exactly have people found themselves a part of? It is terrifying. It's terrifying for innocent people, and this is happening in Toronto. So anyway, my YouTube is pinned in the comments at the bottom. It's God's Way 1019. If you want to hear about my story, check out my YouTube. There's multiple different videos. I don't take comments by DM, but you can leave a comment on the YouTube, under the YouTube. Subscribe if you want to see all the videos. I talk about many different aspects of gang stalking in Toronto, many different aspects of, everything that I've gone through, from the spiritual side of it, which people do not understand, to giving helpful tips for if people want to get out of this, because they absolutely should. Every second that you spend in this thing is dangerous to you, to your mental health, to everything, like to your life, your spiritual life, your children, everything. You need to leave immediately. Excuse me, check out the YouTube, leave comments, let me know what you guys think. And like I said, subscribe if you want to see more content. Have yourself a good evening. And yeah, I usually come on every day. I've been telling myself I'm going to come on more than once a day, but I'll see how it goes with my schedule, with whatever else I have to do. So thank you guys and have a good night.